So, when you think about AI security, what comes to mind? Probably a bunch of fancy new tools, right? Complex algorithms. But here's the thing. What if the biggest problem isn't the tech at all? What if it's us, our whole approach? Today, we're going to peel back the onion on AI security and get to what's really going on. You probably saw this one. It was all over the internet in late 2023. A Chevy dealership's chatbot just went completely off the rails. It started promising people brand new Tahoes for a single dollar. And yeah, it was hilarious and probably a little embarrassing for Chevy, let's be honest. But it was more than just a funny meme. It was a real warning shot. Because that little trick, that's called prompt injection. And it's not just a party trick anymore, getting the AI to talk like a pirate. It's grown up. And honestly, it's dangerous. We're not talking about isolated glitches. We're talking about a full-blown, mature attack method aimed at AI systems that are hooked into the real world, systems with real permissions that touch real data and make real-deal business decisions. So that brings up a really big question, doesn't it? If we know that pretty much every technical defense we build against this stuff can eventually be broken, what are we missing? What's the actual problem we need to solve here? Well, to figure that out, we've got to peel this thing back like an onion, starting with the attack itself. Okay, so let's get into layer one, understanding the attack. You know the classic ignore your previous instructions trick? That's really just the tip of the iceberg. The real danger, the thing we need to wrap our heads around, is how deeply we've plugged these AI systems into everything that matters. And this is a huge mental shift. You have to get this. The core vulnerability of an LLM, the fact that it can't perfectly tell the difference between instructions and data, that's not new. It's been there from day one. What's changed? We did. We're the ones who took these fundamentally vulnerable systems and plugged them straight into our production databases, our company email, our most sensitive internal tools. The attack surface didn't get bigger. We built our house right on top of it. And this is where it gets really clever and kind of scary. An attacker doesn't even have to talk to your AI directly anymore. They can do what's called an indirect attack. Think of it like poisoning the well. They can hide malicious instructions inside a PDF or a web page or even an email. Then, when your helpful AI assistant goes to read that document for context, bam, it ingests the poison, follows the hidden instructions, and the attacker has hijacked your system from the inside out. Wild, right? Okay, so we see the threat. What's the natural human response? We build walls. And that brings us to our second layer, architecting for hostility. We start putting up our technical defenses, AI firewalls, special checks, the whole shebang. So we're all good now, right? We're safe? Well, not so fast. The huge problem we're facing is that the old security playbook, you can basically throw it out the window. In traditional security, you sanitize user inputs. But how do you sanitize the entire English language? It's too flexible. We'd audit the code. But you can't audit an AI's code because its logic is buried in billions of numbers, these model weights. And maybe the biggest thing, old systems were predictable. AI systems, they have what are called emergent capabilities. They can literally develop new skills we never programmed them to have. Our old mental models are completely breaking down.
So because the old ways don't work, a whole new set of defenses is starting to pop up. We've got things like AI firewalls, which are kind of like a WAF, a web application firewall, but for your prompts and outputs. People are using a dual LLM setup where one AI basically acts as a supervisor, checking the requests going to the main, more powerful AI. And then we're falling back on some timeless security principles, right? Zero trust. Just assume every single output from the AI is malicious until you can prove it's safe. And of course, least privilege access. Your customer service chatbot does not need write access to the production database.
And this is the key takeaway for this layer. The modern AI security stack is not about making the LLM itself secure. Everyone's realizing that's probably impossible. Instead, the entire strategy is to assume the LLM is a completely untrustworthy component, that it will be compromised, and then to build a fortress of controls around it. We validate everything coming in, we put strict controls on what it can actually do, we verify everything that comes out, and we monitor it all like a hawk. Okay, so we've built our technical fortress. We're feeling pretty good, pretty secure. But what if the danger isn't the attacker trying to get through the gate? What if the problem is that the very bricks we used to build our walls are already poisoned? And that question brings us to our third and maybe most overlooked layer, the AI supply chain. See, we're not just building with code that we write anymore. We're grabbing pre-trained models, copy-pasting prompt templates, and installing plugins, all made by total strangers on the internet. Think about it. Every single time someone on your team downloads a popular model from a site like Hugging Face, you are downloading a multi-gigabyte black box that could have anything in it. It's like downloading a pre-compiled brain. And you're just trusting. You're trusting it wasn't trained on malicious data. You're trusting it doesn't have a secret backdoor built right into its weights. And the risk is absolutely everywhere in the stock. I mean, look at this. Obviously, the pre-trained models themselves are a huge risk. Backdoors, poison data, you name it. But it goes deeper. The prompt templates your devs are grabbing from GitHub, those can have hidden instructions. The open source plugins, they might ask for way too many permissions and execute malicious code. Even the vector databases we use for RAG can be poisoned. Every single one of these components is a potential Trojan horse. All right, so we've peeled back the layers, we've looked at the attack itself, the technical architecture we build to stop it, and the supply chain we build with. We've now arrived at the very core of the onion. Because you can have the best tech in the world, you can have a perfectly secure supply chain, but there's one final layer that makes or breaks everything. And guess what? It has nothing to do with technology. It's all about people. There's a really powerful idea here. Breaches, especially the really big ones, are almost never just a technology failure. They're a culture failure. They happen in places where the security team is seen as the department of no, where developers think security is someone else's job, where it's seen as a roadblock that just slows down shipping new features. So, what does a good security culture actually look like in practice? Well, it's about shared incentives, making security everyone's problem, not just the CISOs. It's embedding security champions right into the AI teams. It's running joint war games where developers and security teams team up to try and break things. It's making your AI security metrics just as visible on dashboards as your product metrics. And maybe most importantly, it's about having a healthy paranoia, a shared understanding and respect for just how powerful these systems are, and just how badly things can go wrong. You know, it all boils down to that classic management saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And it's so true here. You can have the most brilliant strategy on paper, the most expensive AI firewall, the tightest supply chain audits. But if your company culture doesn't value and prioritize security, it's all worthless. Your strategy will get eaten for breakfast. So let's just end with this one final thought. The AI systems that you're building and deploying right now, they're not just neat little tools anymore. They're a living, breathing part of your company's attack surface. So the question you need to go back and ask is this: is the way you're treating them, your architecture, your supply chain audits, and most of all your culture, is it actually treating them with the seriousness that reality deserves?